We're coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios. This is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are the top stories this evening.
Looking forward to a really good and positive meeting, and we're looking forward to a very good outcome for our country.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says high on the agenda when he meets US President Donald Trump will be trade relations. Tomorrow will be a third attempt by Finance Minister at tabling the budget.
It's clear that coaching stability is one of the major success stories.
And the SA Football Association has attributed Amajita's success in the CAF Under-20 Championship to a sustainable coaching structure. Good evening and welcome to Prime News on 3. An absolute pleasure it is to be in your company this evening. I am Paulette Nell. Let's start first with this story leading the bulletin tonight. President Cyril Ramaphosa says high on the agenda when he meets US President Donald Trump will be trade relations. Trump imposed high tariffs to several countries, including South Africa, when he came back into office. President Ramaphosa will engage with President Trump tomorrow to the much-anticipated meeting of the two leaders.
Looking forward to a really good and positive meeting, and we're looking forward to a very good outcome for our country, for our people, for the jobs in our country, and good trade relations, and to normalize relations between our two countries.
The economic imperative is the most imperative, is it not, Mr. President? The economic imperative is the most important here.
Well, the trade relations are the most important. That's what has brought us here. We want to come out of the United States with a really good trade deal, investment promotion. We invest in the United States and they invest in us, and we want to strengthen those relations, and we want to consolidate good relations between our two countries. We are a sovereign country and we are a very proud nation, and we preserve our sovereignty, and we will always do what is best for South Africans. Well, we are going to have an opportunity to discuss geopolitical issues, not only Israel, but also Ukraine. And so all these matters will be on the table for proper discussion. And we are very rational when it comes to discussing global and geopolitical matters. And we will put South Africa's interest first, and our own foreign policy positions will be well clarified.
Speaking at the South Africa-France Investment Conference in Paris, Deputy President Paul Mashatile says the country aims to address issues of beneficiation of minerals within the country in effort to accelerate economic growth. In his call for investors, Mashatile says that South Africa is a gateway to the continent.
We've got critical minerals in South Africa, and we want to expand our local beneficiation processes. Over the past few years, we have been exporting a lot of our minerals, manganese, chrome, to various countries, and we've now taken a decision that we want to beneficiate in the country, and we want investors to come work with us to produce products there, so that we do finished goods that we can use in our local markets and also export. So that's one area that you should really look at. And lastly, I hope you all coming to the G20 summit in November. I will see you there. We are very excited to be hosting on behalf of the continent, of course. So you must look at South Africa as a gateway to the continent.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana is yet again faced with the task of finding the balance between limited resources and expenditure pressures that will be acceptable to partners in the Government of National Unity. The Finance Minister will present a new budget with new projections, which will include economic growth, revenue, and ways to fund the budget deficit without worsening public debt.
The Finance Minister will present a third budget so far this year, hoping to get buy-in from GNU partners. Government will have to find ways to increase revenue after failing to raise the VAT rate. Economists say it's unlikely government will look towards a wealth tax or corporate income tax, but rather more towards an increase in the fuel levy and bolstering tax collection by SARS. Borrowing is also unlikely, as this would push up public debt and debt servicing costs and may not be looked at favorably by rating agencies.
The government only has three options. It can try to raise taxes from other sources, either through indirect taxes, company tax, or higher taxes on individuals. So that's the revenue side. It can cut expenditure, which would be my preference because there's a lot of wasteful expenditure in government finances. And then lastly, it can simply borrow extra money on the capital market and plug the gap through extra borrowing.
Experts say individuals are already overburdened with tax, and South Africa's corporate income tax is also high, adding that the most viable option is to cut expenditure.
Although moderate sin tax increases are tolerated and will likely occur. An increase in the fuel levy is therefore likely to be used to cover part of the funding gap, while National Treasury also recognises the need to bolster tax collections at SARS and has increased. The bottom line is that the tax take will rise as a consequence of not giving relief for bracket creep.
The National Treasury will likely revise downwards its March forecast of 1.9%, given the unfavourable global environment. Gloria Sifakomusi, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, Eskom Group Chief Executive Dan Marokane says they hope the budget that the minister will table tomorrow will enable them to finalize their debt relief program.
Eskom says it currently has sufficient electricity capacity to sustain the grid during the upcoming winter months. This, despite the recent implementation of load shedding, which was suspended last week. The power utility says it is now in a strong position and well prepared for the increased demand for electricity during winter.
We'll go comfortably to about 46 gigawatts of installed capacity. Availabilities hover between 60-65, so you're not really having maximum utilization of your installed capacity. What is key is for us to be able to meet our peak demands in the middle of winter, which tend to shoot up to 33.5 to 34 gigawatts.
Ongoing financial challenges are also receiving attention, and Eskom is hoping to hear a favorable budget speech.
We want to hear a finalization of our debt relief program as was anticipated in the first two attempted budgets. This brings to closure a 3-year debt relief program that the National Treasury and the country has been supporting Eskom, so we can be able to have lower costs of debt servicing and also ensure that we are able to fulfill our mandate.
A credit guarantee system has also been developed to facilitate the expansion of transmission lines across South Africa in order to alleviate pressure on the national budget. Eskom also says coal electricity generation remains the most stable for South Africa, as renewable energy sources are not always consistent. Corbin August, SABC News, Cape Town.
Welcome back. We continue with this. South Africa must push its global minerals exploration quantum by up to 5% from around 1% currently if it's to achieve meaningful economic growth and job creation. That's the word from the Council for Mineral Technology, MINTEC. This as Minerals and Petroleum Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe announced that the Minerals Resource Development Bill of 2025 will be gazetted today.
A new bill in the pipeline as the country aims to give clarity on the critical mineral strategy following the controversial 2022 Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act. Critical minerals like platinum, manganese, chrome ore, and coal are set to come under the spotlight for exploration.
In South Africa, our target is to attract 5% of global exploration budget. We are sitting as less than 1%, about 0.82%. That figure has been declining for the past 20 years, and it is important for us to improve on that.
Mantashe says his department is also doing research on the post-apartheid development of the sector to assess whether the previously disadvantaged are benefiting.
What we think we'll have to do into the future is to commission a research on black capital formations post-independence. Because in South Africa, contribution of the state to capital formations is always categorized as crime and corruption. But the reality of the matter is that any country that moves and gets liberated, the state has a responsibility to support and develop capital formations post-independence.
Illegal mining will also be looked into. And with the decline in gold exploration, the department says the platinum group metals will remain an alternative. Ulelani Philip, SABC News, Parliament.
The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial adjourned early yet again in the High Court in Pretoria. This after the lawyer for accused number 3, Mthobisi Mncube, and accused number 1, Muzi Sibiya, asked for overnight postponement to verify information relating to what happened to Sibiya after he was arrested on 30th May 2020.
When he informed them that he knows nothing about this, they then started to assault him.
I'm following, my lord.
He continued to deny any knowledge about the death of Senzo. Then the assault also continued, but when they realized that there's nothing that they would be able to extract from him, they then stopped the assault and took him to another office. Then he further says that upon being questioned again about his knowledge about the death of Senzo, now in the presence of Lishabane, Sibiya, Makubu, and Zungu, his response being the fact that he knows nothing. That is when then Makubo suggested that he should rather be released because it is clear that he does not seem to have knowledge, or he does not seem to have been involved in the commission of, in the death of Senzo.
My lord, look, I was not obviously in that meeting, so if it did take place, even to begin with, I won't be able to comment. But what I can say and comment on, my lord, is insofar as Tembisa case 217 of 3/2019, because it is clearly indicated there that he was arrested for the case of dealing in drugs. The reason of him not being pursued further is because the matter was withdrawn due to the absence of the 212 statement.
Thank you for staying with us. Now on to this. Emergency services remain on standby to respond to any emergencies as the weather services warns of a cold front expected to sweep across large parts of the country from tomorrow. The public is urged to use heating devices safely and not to leave them unattended to prevent fires.
For those without shelter, living in the streets, The cold spell brings mystery. Others have seen fellow street dwellers die from the freezing temperatures and would not want to suffer the same fate.
It is difficult out here in the streets of Jersey because most of us, don't even have a specific shelter where we can sleep. Some of us sleep in the parks, some of us sleep in between buildings.
For emergency services personnel, winter is normally the busiest season as they respond to between 300 and 350 fire-related emergencies a month.
So our residents will be tempted to use all sorts of heating devices, things like braziers, wimbaula, paraffin stoves, candles, to try and warm themselves. So in the process, they might make themselves vulnerable. So we are pleading with them to ensure that all these heating devices are not left unattended.
Weather forecasters predict that large parts of the country, especially provinces like the Eastern and Western Cape, will experience the intense cold snap.
We do have a cold front associated with an upper trough over the western part of the Western Cape, where we are expecting the widespread showers and thunder shower over those areas there, associated with the strong damaging winds.
The South African Weather Service says it will continue to monitor the weather patterns and will issue subsequent updates as required. Calvin Dludla, SABC News, Johannesburg.
The under-20 national football side Amajita won the Africa Cup of Nations for the first time because of the wealth of coaching experience available to the national team. Amajita arrived home to a hero's welcome as the latest national football team to achieve success on the continent.
A rousing welcome for the Amajita, the victorious under-20 national side who made history by becoming the champions of Africa for the first time in the team's history. Their coach, Raymond Mdaka, highlighted their mental fortitude as the thing that separated Amajita from their opponents.
Sometimes if it doesn't work out for us tactically because the opponents also would come up with their tactics, we must have the character to fight. And indeed, in most of the games, you'll find that maybe we don't start well, but we're able to come back.
And then there was Tylan Smith, who scooped the Player of the Tournament award with his standout performances.
I feel blessed because this is an amazing gift for me. It's the first of many, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
We did it. We made history, and I'm so proud that I could have been a part of this incredible team.
A lot of times because the coaches, they fight a lot with us, and at times we feel like if they were in our shoes, they would understand the problems we are facing on the field.
Joining Bafana Bafana, Banyana Banyana and Amajimbos, Amajita is the latest national side to achieve. And that's because there is some stability in the South African Football Association.
It's clear that coaching stability, having a coach pursuing a particular project is one of the major success stories. And I want to thank all the coaches here, and particularly Raymond Mdaka here.
Simon Berg, SABC News, Kempton Park.
Well, with that, it's now time to check out the latest weather forecast. Stay tuned.
Good evening to you. Let's take a look at all your weather details now. We've got a cold front that's approaching the country and sweeping across South Africa, bringing with it wintry conditions with widespread showers expected in the Western Cape, becoming scattered as you head towards the interior of that province. Rainfall continuing along the southern coast of South Africa in towards the Eastern Cape, and the potential for snowfall for the high ground of the Western Cape in towards the Eastern Cape, where scattered showers exist through the interior southwards on towards the coastline tomorrow. It'll be cold and a chance of rain in towards the Free State tomorrow, as well as the Northwest Province. Sunnier conditions expected further north in Polokwane, but temperatures also expected to remain cool as that cold front swoops across the country, bringing with it icy winds to Johannesburg southwards in towards the Free State, where minimum lows are expected this evening. Potential of snowfall in towards the high ground of the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal provinces overnight in towards tomorrow, and scattered showers continuing for the Eastern Cape. Tomorrow sees isolated showers behind the cold front for Cape Town, but temperatures expected to remain cold to cool. We've got potential of damaging winds on the Cape Peninsula in towards the Eastern Cape coastline this evening. Look out for that, as well as potential damaging interior winds through the Northern Cape, Free State and Eastern Cape, and then disruptive rainfall, a possibility in parts as well. And ahead towards tomorrow, damaging winds through the Eastern Cape. Please be on the lookout for that, as high wind speeds exist right the way through the Republic's coastline, and damaging winds are possible through the Free State. Bethlehem dropping down to 1 degree overnight, Johannesburg into the single digits at 6 degrees, Bloemfontein down to 3, whilst Durban drops to 18, Cape Town down to 11, warming up tomorrow to just 15 degrees behind that cold front. Sutherland, a bitterly cold day in store, 7 degrees the maximum. De Aar and Bloemfontein both up to 12, while Bethlehem only warms up to 10, Johannesburg 13, but slightly warmer in the northern parts of the country. Polokwane 24 is expected, and sunny conditions prevail. That's it from me. Enjoy your evening.
That concludes our time together this evening. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, good night and God bless.